Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is part 2 on how to build a wood stove out of an old water heater. So here's the door with the hinge welded on. This pin right here is removable, so you can take... There we go, so you can take the door right off. I actually did end up having to grind out a little bit more up here in this corner and provide a little bit more relief in here and a little bit back here. So that's great to be able to take the door off to make those adjustments as necessary. And then I also added a little piece of flat bar right here to reinforce where the handle will go, which is right here, just made out of some flat bar. I bent that in the vise, and I'll just drill a hole right there and bolt that bad boy on, and we'll put a latch over here. So I'll show you what the latch looks like here in a second. Also, this material here is 3/16 by 1.5 flat bar, and the flat bar that I used for the door is 3/16 by 1.25. Anywhere in there will work just fine. Doesn't have to be specifically that. This rod right here was off of an old riding lawnmower. Cleaned that up a little bit with the sander. That's 5/8 of an inch thick. And the inside diameter of the tubing here is 5/8 of an inch. Okay, so this is what I came up with for the latch using some of that 1.5 inch flat bar. I just took one piece and notched it out right there, rounded it off a little bit so that when the handle comes down, it'll easily go down into that slot. And then that'll be welded up on there just like that. Alright guys, here is the handle and the latch installed on the stove. Turned out pretty cool. The way that I bent the handle is when you put your hand in here, there's no way for it to hit the stove. So I'll just make some fine adjustments by bending the handle back just a little bit. It's a little bit snug right now, but it turned out pretty good. And I did end up notching that out a little bit more. I just tacked it on right here to begin with to kind of see where it was. And I ended up having to break that off and then notch it out a little bit more and weld it back up. But it turned out pretty good. And we do need one more thing for the door. That's an air inlet with a damper on it. So I went ahead and made this rectangle out of flat bar. I welded a nut on the side so you can put a bolt in there. And then just a little piece of 1/8 inch plate, which I'm going to make some baffles out of. You'll see the baffles here in a sec. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'll put a little handle on it and drop it down in there, get it all welded up, and we'll have a spot for the air to come in. Alright, so I'm also going to put some baffles in this stove. I'm going to put 2 baffles in there. The baffles will make a lot more efficient stove, and it's going to promote a good secondary burn and keep all of your heat from pouring straight out the top of the chimney. So the inside diameter of this tank is just a little under 16 inches. Let's take a look at this piece of plate over here. What I did was measured from the edge over to 8 inches to the middle. I drilled a small hole and I bent up this piece of welding rod, and I will use that with the plasma cutter to cut this out. It's a pretty simple way to draw a perfect circle without having to make a bunch of marks. Now this is actually, you would want this right in the middle of the edge So it's a little bit off, but I'll go ahead and put a bend in it right here, and that'll be perfect for what I need. Yep, there it is. Just like that's going to be perfect. Right in the middle. So if you do make that piece a little bit too long, that's okay. You can just put a bend in it, just like I did, and get it real fine adjustment to exactly where you want it. I actually recommend doing it that way, so you're not trying to get it absolutely perfect. Just figure for going about maybe a 1/4 inch over and bend that rod to get your fine adjustment. So anyways, let's cut this out. Oh yeah, the other thing that I did was I put a pair of vice grips on the bottom of that rod to keep it from slipping out. So that way when it's cutting, you don't have to worry about that. And then if you want, you can clamp a piece of flat bar or your square on there to get that line right there perfectly straight. Booyah! Now take the piece that you just cut out and line it up on the edge there. Get it pretty close there. And then just draw your mark for your hole in the middle. Do that one more time and you'll have 2 baffles. Now look at that. Look how perfect that is. That's beautiful. I did goof up a little bit right here, just because I was using one hand, but I think it's worth it to show you guys some plasma. Alrighty, there's the baffles all done. So the smoke will come up through here, travel in between the 2 baffles, and then come out and go out the top. Okay, so the baffles are installed, and let's take a look at that. I'm just going to warn you that they look like they were done by a 5-year-old. There was a lot of rust in there, and then my welding helmet quit working, so it got a little bit messy, but they're not going anywhere, so that's all that I care about. I put the gap on the bottom one at the back and the one at the top one on the front. And the top is done as well. This piece right here came off of a 1 foot length. I went down to the local steel yard and they had a big old length of this 6-inch pipe. It's a 1/4 inch wall. So I cut a couple inches off of that, got it all deburred, laid it down on there and tacked it on. And then I cut out the inside. There's one of the baffles right there. So yeah, I just tacked it on there. That way I could cut the inside and not have to worry about trying to hold it in place. And that bad boy is ready to go for the 6-inch stovepipe. And let's take a look at what we have going on down here. So I made a little handle for the damper. I had a handle off of an old lawnmower, and I already had a hole in it the same size as that round stock. I think it's 3/16. So I clamped that handle from the lawnmower into the vise, put it through the hole that was already there and wrapped it around. Cut off the extra, welded it on. And one more thing I want to show you. Built a grate for the inside. The two pieces in the middle are 14 inches, and then each one going out is an inch shorter than that all the way down. So that's it, guys. The wood stove is all finished. I want to say thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions about the build, feel free to drop me a comment and let me know.